Hello, welcome to SwitchedOn, Paul speaking, and welcome to what is likely to be one of the last looks at a game I take in 2020 on the Nintendo Switch, and it couldn't really be a better way to finish the year. It's Wingspan, the digital board game, and this is the conversion of the physical game that was designed by Elizabeth Hargrave and published by Stonemaier Games. Absolutely superb board game publisher, my favourite publisher of board games probably. They did Scythe and Charterstone, Viticulture, amongst many others, and those are slowly finding their way into the digital realm. This game is published on the Switch by Monster Couch and Stonemaier Games, and it's going to set you back $19.99 and £17.99. And just once again, if you're a board game fan at all, I highly recommend you picking up a physical copy of Wingspan if you haven't got it yet. It is such a great game. Absolutely love playing this. I've played it many times, and as typical for Stonemaier Games, the production quality in the box is just off the hook. Beautiful components and artwork. It really is a stunning game, and I am absolutely delighted to say that production quality has made it over to the digital board game. This is just a stunning game. So we're going to take you through a little bit of gameplay. I'm just going to show you around some of the settings here, as I normally like to do. Got quite a lot of options here, a lot of information about controls, and you've got some quite a lot of sound effects options here, as you'll find out as we get into the game why that is. And we've also got options. Where's the options gone? Options in the game, not many there. Change the language, change the voiceover, and you can turn the animations on and off as well. Also here you've got sort of I don't know what to call this, a birdology. I don't know what ornithologists would call a book about birds, but it's kind of your collection. So as you unlock new birds in the game from the big deck of cards that presented themselves in the game, you get a little voiceover telling you what the bird is, a little bit about it, and even the sort of the bird song, the noise the bird makes, which is an absolutely beautiful touch. And then all the ones that you've found and located in the game as you play naturally are located here, and you can sort them as well if you're looking for anything in particular. Not really, not a feature many people will look at probably, but a lovely touch to have that in. You've got something here called the Preserve Archive, and what this is when you finish a game, you can save your final board stat and go back and have a look at that again, which is again not something you maybe use a lot, but a nice touch. And you have an online mode as well, so that's really cool. But we're going to get into a game here. Got a game currently running, but we're going to start a new game. You can play the tutorial, obviously, which is good, teach you about the game. I'm going to try and explain a few of the rules. This isn't like a complete rules overview. It's quite a complex game to kind of get your head around, but when you do pick it up, it's quite an easy game to play. It plays quite nicely. Another nice touch here is you can actually play the Ultima version. You get this version in the physical board game. It's a separate deck of cards and a separate set of rules that allows you to play the game solo, which is what I tend to do if I'm not playing against my daughter, who also loves the game. But I will play the solo mode against the Ultima, and you can actually play that version here, even though you can play against other AI players and obviously online as well. But I thought that was a really nice touch as well, because it does change the rules up a little bit and change the game, so that's a nice touch. Now, as you see here, you can play 5 players, and of those 5 players, you can have a human player, an AI player on easy level, or an AI on normal. I'm going to do for now, just to keep things easy, as I tend to like to do when I show these board games. We stick to 2 players, and it makes it makes it flow a lot easier and easier to explain. And I think the rest of that is fine. Just what turn order you want to go in. We're going to go random. And here we are. So firstly, you get this beautiful artwork, as I say, absolutely stunning. And you can actually choose this artwork as well in your character creation. When you sort of create a little avatar, there are a few different sceneries that you can pick from, which is a really nice touch. And we'll flick over to the AI player in a second, and we'll show you his habitat. But there's a few different habitats you can choose from to keep things fresh. So whenever you start a game of Wingspan, you get dealt basically 5 cards, and there are 5 pieces of food in the game. You have to use food to put your cards out on the table. At the start of the game, as I say, you're dealt 5 cards from the deck, and you're allowed to keep up to 5 things. Now that can be a mixture of cards and food. You could keep all 5 cards if you wanted to, but you would then struggle to play them because you haven't got the food. And again, by similar token, there's not really much point taking all 5 pieces of food because you've got no birds to put out, so then you'd be behind. So you need to strike a balance of picking 5 things, so a few cards and a few bits of food to put them out with. You've also got these bonus cards. You can flick between them by picking X, and these should influence what cards you look for, really. And again, these are randomly dealt from a deck. So the 2 I've been randomly dealt here is bird counter, so birds with and it's a bit hard to see, so excuse my bad eyesight, but it's birds with a certain power there, a little icon. I can't quite see what it is, but you get 2 points there per bird that you collect at the end of the game. And rather helpfully, it tells you at the bottom of the card there that in the deck, 15% of the cards in the deck do have that power. The second bonus card I've got is an enclosure builder, and this is birds with the sort of that brown nest icon. There's a few different types of nests in the game, so all the birds at the end of the game that I've got with those nests, and you see there, if I've got 4 to 5 of them, I get 4 points. If I've got more than 6 of them with those nests out on my display, I get 7 points. And again, at the bottom of the screen, the bottom of the card, sorry, it tells you how many cards in the deck have that type of nest, and it's 31%. So you can see I've got a better chance here of completing that bonus, but also probably get more points by collecting as many birds as I can with that. I don't know what it is, wing power. I think I'm going to go with the nest option, the enclosure builder. So I'm going to choose that. And that's going to help me choose which birds I get here. So you can see here the white-faced ibis has that nest icon. You see on the card there to the left-hand side of the card in the circle. It's got that kind of messy twig nest. So that's a good card to keep. It's worth 8 points. You can see that there by the feather on the left-hand side. So at the end of the game, I will get 8 points if that bird is in my display. So let's have a look. Let's take that card, and you can see there to feed this bird and to put it out into our display is going to need a fish and 2 worms. So that's probably going to influence what pieces of food I take to start with. So I'm going to take a fish and a worm. So it gives me a head start on getting that card out. So that's 3 things now I've collected. So what else can we put out? We've got the American avocet. The Atlantic puffin here needs 3 fish. Let's just go through the card actually very quickly. You've got a symbol in the top left hand corner, a blue, an orange or a green symbol. That denotes what habitat they can go in. Green is the forest, blue is the marshlands, or blue is the water I think, and yellow is the marshlands. And again, we'll see them in a moment. You can play the birds only into that habitat. Well, underneath that is the food that we've just looked at. And then going down that left hand side, as we've already said, we've got the points there next to the feather, the nest type, the name of the bird to the right, a little beautiful little drawing of the painting of the bird. Lovely artwork again. At the bottom is their wingspan. So underneath that information, so we're looking here at the white-faced ibis, 91 centimetre wingspan. That plays into the gameplay. Some birds or some powers are activated by birds with big wingspans or small wingspans, so that's very important. And then we've got this power at the bottom. The bottom half of the card is basically the power. So the power here of the white-faced ibis is that you roll all dice not in the bird feeder, and if any are fish, you gain 1 fish and cash it on this card. So you just take a little fish token, put it on that card, and then at the end of the game you get a point for each token on the card. And each bird here has a different power, and you'll see how those work as we go on. So I'm just going to pick, I think I'm going to pick this, is it Carulian Warbler? They need corn, so we're going to take corn. And then we've got our 5 things. We've got 2 bird cards, and we've got 3 pieces of food. We've picked our bonus card. We're ready to start the game, so we press the Y button, and we're into the game proper here. So the AI player is going first. See that the icon at the top there? They're the puffin, and I'm the sort of the blue bearded monster. And this is the turn box, I suppose you'd call this, turn indicator. The game is played over 4 rounds. In the first round, you have, how many got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 actions, denoted by those little blue cubes. Very clever system that once the round is over, you take one of your cubes and you place it on a scoring card to donate how many points you got in that round, which means the next round you've got less cubes or less actions to take. So the next round is 8 actions. The third round is 7 actions. Or is it 6? My eyesight's not so good, is it? So 8, 7, 6 and then 5, isn't it? So 8 in the first round, 7 in the second round, 6 in the third round, 5 actions in the final 4th round to do. and you see that indicated there. Very nicely displayed, and probably easier to understand than my strange ramblings. And hopefully you can all understand that. So, you see the AI player at the top there. Just has a little speech bubble about what they did. We can switch over to their habitat with the ZL button. And you can see their habitat looks slightly different to ours. More of a sort of summery feel to theirs. And ours is a bit more, I'd say, autumnal, isn't it? Those orangey leaves and grasses and stuff. So, what we can do with the L and R buttons is flick through the three habitats. This is our grasslands or forest. This is our kind of swampy lands. And then we've got the wetlands at the bottom by the lake where sort of the ducks and things like that go. If you flick up on the right stick, this is a more traditional. So if you're used to playing the board game, this is the kind of board that you get for each player in the board game. So it's a little bit easier to understand, if you're playing along with the board game and you've got the instructions to the board game. That's the kind of layout that it has. But in the digital game here, they've jazzed it up a bit and you've got these really nice graphical habitats. So, as I say, I'm not going to try and explain every rule because it's a little bit of a complex game to kind of get your head around and explain cold. You kind of need to be playing it, I think. But basically, what you're trying to do is play birds into these slots. You can see each sort of white slot there is a space you can play your birds. So that would be in the forests, in the marshlands, and in the water. So there's 5 birds you can play in each for a total of 15 birds that you could play at the end of the game. By the end of the game, sorry. You'll see against or just above each white little box here, there are some eggs. So to play the first card here into this space that's highlighted, it doesn't cost me any eggs. But the next card that I put next to it will cost me 1 egg, and the next card next to that will cost 1 egg. The card next to that will cost 2, and the final card in this row would also cost 2 eggs. Now you need to lay eggs on your cards by using the actions in the marshlands here. So if I did an action in this area, it allows me to lay eggs. The actions in the forest lands here allow you to take food from the bird feeder, which is on the right hand side of the screen and represented by dice. We'll come back to those in a second. And the wetlands at the bottom here, the action that you can take here instead of putting birds out is to collect a card. Now what happens is you have 3 cards at any time shown, and you can see those in the bottom right hand corner of the screen where it's just below where it says draw bird cards. So you can choose one of those cards, or if none of those tickle your fancy, you can take one off the top of the deck and sort of have a blind draw. The bottom left hand corner is probably one of the final places to look. That's our current hand. We've got a bonus card on the left that we picked, and the 2 bird cards that we chose to start with, the white-faced ibis and the cerulean warbler. The right hand side of the screen is how many actions we've got left. So we've got the blue cube there, we've got 8 actions left to take. Actions normally take, literally can take seconds to play, so it isn't really a long game to play. You could easily play through it in, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that, especially once you get the hang of it and you're knowing what you're doing. Just below that is how many resources we've got. So the top resource there is the eggs. We've got 0 at the moment. And then underneath that are all the different types of foods. We've got berries, fish, worms, mice, and wheat. And you can see we've got 1 fish, 1 worm, 1 wheat, what we chose at the start. And the very final thing to pay attention to is the top right-hand corner of the screen. The top right-hand corner of the screen shows the scoring cards. We're going to zoom in on these by pressing the minus button. And here are the 4 rounds. So in round 1, and again, these are randomly drawn, so each round these will be different. But round 1 for this game, it's the person who lays the eggs in the sort of nest, the round nest there, who just basically lays their eggs on the floor. So the bird with the most, or the person who has the birds with the most eggs on, will score 4 points. You can see it on the right hand side there, and second place will score 1 point. If it's a tie, you split the points, so each person will get 2 points. Second round there is just basically the person who's got the most eggs in those hollow nests. So it's like woodpeckers and birds like that lay their nests inside trees. So whoever's got the most eggs laid on the birds with those nests will score 5 points. Second place will score 2 points. And if you had a third player, they'd be scoring 1 point in that round. The third round is basically just the most birds in the marshlands. So in the sort of yellowy orange area. So whoever's got the most birds out in that area scores 6 points. Second place scores 3 points. Third place scores 2 points. And the final round is just basically the person who's got the most eggs in those kind of messy nests. So there you go. That's how the round scoring cards work. And as I say, they are random. You can bring this up at any time and see who's in the lead. So it gives you something to aim for. So in this round, we just basically want to put out birds that have got those sort of laying capabilities to lay eggs on the floor. And at the moment, we haven't got these nests. This is like the messy twig nest. This is kind of a more neater bowl nest. And we look for the draw bird cards here. We can see on the right hand side, I can't really read the writing, but is it a bobolink? Something like that. That has actually got the nest icon. So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab one of those cards. So we're going to come down here to the wetlands. We're not going to play one of our cards. We're going to do the first action here. So where the A icon is there, you can see like the card icon, the green card icon. That means that we can take one card. It's not going to cost us anything. We can just take a card and that'll be our action done. And like I explained a little bit earlier about the top row of actions, if we want to do the next action there, we need an egg. We need to spend an egg to do that, and we can take one card. But the next action also allows us to spend another egg to take a second card. If we go across to the third icon there, we can spend an egg and take 2 cards. The fourth action there is we can take 2 cards and spend an egg to take a third card. And then the last action there that's going to cost us 2 eggs is that we can take 2 cards. So you can see there the actions get more powerful the more birds you put out. So we're just going to do this first action. We're going to press A. We're going to choose a card. We want this bird here because we know we need to get those nests out with the little round eggs icon, and we're just going to take that. We're going to press Y to confirm our go, and that's our turn over. That goes into our hand, and it's now the AI's turn. Or actually, no, it's the turn passes back to the AI, but they're actually playing first, so they will get next go here. So as you can see, the icon's gone blue on round 1, which means we've on to our second action now. So we press A. The AI player there says he's gained food. So he took something from the bird feeder, which we haven't really spoke about yet, but we're probably going to go and do that now because we want to get that bobolink out. Bobolink. And the bobolink needs a worm and 2 wheat. Now, we've only got, on the right-hand side there in our food slots, we've only got 1 worm and 1 wheat. So we need to take another wheat. And you can see there at the top, when you go to the top area, the forest area here, this is all about feeding, this top area. So the green icon on the left, as you see, as we cycle up and down them. We're at the top one here. This allows you to take food. As you can see there, the first action where the A is on the row of cards there allows us to take 1 die from the bird feeder. The bird feeder is on the right. And you can see at the moment there's 2 wheat, a berry, and then this other weird dice that's got a worm and a wheat on it. That means you can take that dice and choose what you want, either a wheat or a worm. Now we need another wheat, so we'd have 2 wheat and a worm to allow us to get the bobolink out. So we're going to take that action to take some food. You can see here we can choose which food of the bird feeder to take. We're going to take one of the wheat. Now this is an important decision because at any time in the bird feeder, if there's only one type of food left, so say if there was 3 dice left in here and all of them are wheat, the person who's going to get the food can re-roll it. And we don't really want to allow the AI to do that. So we're going to take one of the wheat die and press Y, and we gain that food. You'll see our resource counter on the right hand side now shows we have 2 wheat and 1 worm and 1 fish. We're on to the next turn. And the AI player at the top there, so you have to be quick to catch it, but if you keep your eye on the top when it's the AI player's turn, it says there that he drew cards. So we want to play the bobolink, and it can only be played in the wetlands. If we zoom in on that card there, you can see the top left hand corner can only be played, sorry, not the wetlands, the marshlands, the yellow icon, sort of the area between the dry land and the wetland. It's called the marshlands. It can only be played in that area. Some birds can be played in multiple areas, or you can choose basically, but this one can only be played in the marshland. As we said already, it's going to cost us 1 worm and 2 wheat to put out. It's going to be worth 4 points at the end. And he's got that all-important egg-laying nest. We haven't spoken about actions yet. We'll get to that in a second. I'm not going to go too much longer on this video, just another few minutes maybe, just so you get an idea of the actual, some more gameplay. But we've already done sort of 20 minutes so far, but hopefully you're getting the picture of how this one plays. So we're going to come down to our marshlands here. We're going to push up on the D-pad to activate our cards, and we're going to click the Bobo link, and if you listen you will get a description of what the bird is, and you'll hear the bird song as well. So let's see how that works. Or not, as the case may be. A spectacular fail. Maybe I've already played this card before, but basically if it's a new card you will get the a voiceover just telling you a little bit about the card. And I believe... oh, that's one button there. As you click down on the right stick you get your hints about what area it is, so if you ever get confused. But there is a button you can press. I can't remember what it is now. Yeah, there's a button you can press that basically gives you the information. It sort of flips the card around and gives you the information, but it escapes me which button that is just now. So when you play the card there, you get the food sort of menu pop up in the bottom of the screen, showing you there that the cost of playing this bird is a worm and 2 wheat, and it shows underneath that we can pay the worm and 2 wheat. You have got the option to change that if you want to. Some birds can be played with any type of food, so you can literally choose what you want, but as we've only got the right amount of food here, we can't really change that. We've got no choice. We've got to use that amount of food.
Dickinson wrote poems about these birds as rowdy choristers in her Church of Nature.
So there you go. Sorry, the voiceover comes at that point when you actually play it, so we do get the voiceover. So there you go. So this bird has got a special power, and this special power is when it's played. So you can see there the bottom half of the card says when played, lay 1 egg on each of your birds with a egg type nest. So yes, we want to do that. You tick the tick, press Y, and you can see there at the bottom of the card we've now got an egg. So that's good for us because that gives us, and we can see that the AI has played a bird. But if we go back to the scoring cards now by pressing minus, you can see we're now in the lead of that scoring card for round 1. We've got a bird with that egg type nest, and we've got an egg on it, so we've got 1. So you can see that our blue sort of bar has got a 1 next to it, and we're leading the race for that round to get to the 4 points. So let's play on. Let's have a look, see what was replaced in the card drawer at the bottom of the screen. It's got refreshed, and we've now got another one of those birds. So I think we're going to take that one as well. You can see this one here, the common nighthawk. Now you see there the icons in the top corner can be played in any of the 3 areas. Needs 2 worms to be able to be played. It's worth 3 points, and we're going to grab that into our hand. It's the AI passes or finish their turn as well. We're on to the next round. We're going to need some food. The AI lays eggs on their cards, so that might mean that they're catching us up. Let's have a look. No, we'll have a look at their tableau in a second. So we need worms. We definitely need worms. We're going to take some food here, and we're going to take this dice here with the wheat and the worm on it, and we're allowed a choice of what we want, the wheat or the worm. We're going to take the worm and okay that, so we collect a worm, and that's the end of that round, or that turn in that round. The AI has gained food out of the bird feeder. And let's just have a look at the AI's tableau at the moment. See if he's got anyone with one of those nests. He hasn't. So we're doing okay so far. Let's switch back to our tableau. Now, we want to take some more food because we want a worm again, but there's only 1 dice basically left in the bird feeder with a berry on it. When there's 1 dice left or only 1 type of food, the person who then goes to take the food can re-roll the whole number of dice if they choose. They don't have to, but they can choose to if they want to. Or I could just take that berry and all the dice will get re-rolled anyway. But I don't want that berry. I want to re-roll all the dice. So you get the option at the bottom here. So you can either take the berry or I can re-roll the bird feeder. Now in the physical game, you actually get a little cardboard bird feeder like a dice tower, which is a really, really cool thing to have on your table. And it's a lot of fun. My daughter loves chucking the dice through it. And is again just an example of the great production of Stonemaier games. So the dice are being rolled. We've got a fish or 2 fish, a berry, the worm, and a wheat. So we want a worm. So we're very lucky there. We've got a worm. We're going to grab that, add it to our stash, and that's the end of that turn. We've got 2 turns left. I think we're just going to have enough chance to play this second bird out. See if we can do it and get an egg on it. So it's the common nighthawk. Let's go down and have a look at it. You can see this bird has got an activation power which says if the bird to the right of all other birds in its habitat, if the bird is to the right of all other birds in its habitat, move it to another habitat. So basically, if you put it into a habitat where there's birds to the left, you can move it somewhere else. So we can play this in any habitat we want. And as you can see here from the tableau, it's probably a good idea to spread your birds around if you can, because we would be covering up this action. So in this bird feeding action here, we would be covering up this first slot with a bird, which at the moment is quite a weak action. It allows us to take 1 dice from the feeder. But if we cover this up, the only action we can take then is the next one along, which is to take 1 dice, but also allows us to discard a card to take another dice if we want to. So it's a slightly more powerful action, but it will cost us 1 egg to take. Now if that sounds a bit confusing, what I will do is play the common nighthawk into that slot. It's going to cost us 2 worms.
Common nighthawk.
We're going to OK
Nighthawks
that.
are crepuscular, hunting flying insects at dawn and dusk.
So there you get the nice little voiceover. We've got 1 turn left in this round, and we're going to lay eggs on that bird. But I just want to show you here what I was talking about is that we've covered up that first slot now. So the first and only sort of bird feeding action we can take is this second action here. That's to spend 1 egg to take 1 of the dice from the bird feeder, or to discard, it's also we can discard a card to take a second dice if we want, which is quite cool if you've got a useless card in your hand, which you may get from time to time. But what we want to do now to keep our scoring up is we need to lay an egg on the bird with that nest that we've just put out there, the common nighthawk. So the lay an egg action is in the marshlands here. And you can see here, if we spend an egg, we get to put 2 eggs out. So it's a bit odd when you're starting out, but that's how it works. And the or action there, you can see the top row action there is to spend 2 eggs. But the next action then is we can give away any piece of food to get an extra egg as well. So if we wanted to, we could get rid of our fish that we've got in our supply, and we could put out 3 eggs. But we're just going to do the 2 for now. So we're going to put 1 egg on this bird, 1 egg on this bird, and we're not going to do the additional action. We're going to OK that with the Y button. And that's the end of the round. So there's our 2 birds that we put out with eggs on. We got the 4 points. And the AI player didn't manage to get any out, so he gets 0. And we move on to round 2. Now you can see in round 2, we're going to wrap the video up here, by the way. I just want to finish on a couple of conclusions. So please stick with this just while I talk through my final thoughts on this game. But just before we do that, round 2 there is to lay eggs in those sort of woodpecker type nests. And you can see there the AI player has already got 2 of those out. So he's already 2 in front. And obviously that won't be scored until the end of round 2. But it just gives you an idea of, he's already ahead. And you can do that. You could look ahead in the scoring cards and you can see there in round 3, because I've got a bird out in that sort of marshland, I'm already 1 ahead. So it shows you how that works. You can definitely plan ahead. If you think you're not going to score well in a current round, you can always look ahead to future rounds and start getting those numbers in place. So there you go. That is a whole turn of Wingspan. So it's played over 4 rounds. And that was all of round 1. As you see, the turns go pretty quickly, especially if I wasn't yakking away. And as I say, you can easily play a game in around about half an hour. And it's really fun. It's an absolutely relaxing game as well. The music, I don't know if you've managed to catch any of it while I've been yammering away. Hopefully you have, but it's just such beautiful acoustic guitar music. It's absolutely stunning. The little bird noises in the background, the little nature noises as well. It is just such a relaxing and calming game. Absolutely stunning. Everything about this game is top notch, from the presentation to the controls. I mean, that's ignoring how great the gameplay is. And I'm not just talking about the Switch game here. The game it's based on, Wingspan, the board game. You look at Board Game Geek and this game, look at the forum for this game. and you speak to anyone on, you know, board game forums or anything, everybody loves this game. I've yet to see anyone that sort of has got a bad word to say about this game. It's such a beautiful game to play. The theme works perfectly with the game, and you know, it's, you know, you could say it's educational as well. My daughter's learned a little bit about some of the birds from looking at the pictures and reading the cards. She's only 7, but she loves playing this game as well. She loves rolling the dice and giving the food out. And the actual board game has little sort of plastic eggs in it as well, which she loves doling out to the different birds and stuff. So that side of it is beautiful. A lot of that is carried through into this game. It's a great game to play. As I say, really relaxing. It's my board game of the year. If you haven't seen my top board game list that was published alongside this video, there's a spoiler for you. It's an absolutely cracking game. Well worth the money. Go out and buy it. It's out today, and I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know below if you've enjoyed this video and like the look of Wingspan on the Nintendo Switch. I'm conscious that there's nothing moving on the screen, so sorry about that. But I was getting carried away there with the excitement of my love for this game. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you're new. And check out my top 10 board games as well. See if you agree with that. As I say, a bit of a spoiler there, but this does hit number 1 for me. It's just a stunning game. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. And I will see you all next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.